the wild. We don't cultivate it. Now, when I wrote the book and I did the research, one of my main goals was for people to see that they can actually cultivate Ero. Now, in the book, it's real outline, full explanations of how you can cultivate it. It is something that has seeds, but people don't know. But the seeds is difficult because the seeds can take a year to germinate. But it's a normal creeping stem that you can just propagate it. You cut half and you put in the soil, a form of. The only catch is that it grows with life support. It's not like we talk about yam, that you can put a support and it grows and it creeps on it. It grows with life support, which means it grows in the bush and it grows in the forest because direct sunlight destroys the leaves. So it has to grow with shade. But then you have so many organizations, even Sendep in Maifor, they have a deforestation farm for Ero by their office. If you can go there, you can see it. You have various trees that you can plant within 6 months. They are right up there. You just need to have that, and you can plant Ero. Ero is becoming extinct, but that is something that government have to take a good look at it. It is no longer in the Nigerian forest. It's totally extinct in Nigerian forest. It is in our forest, but we need to do more because everybody eats it. And it will give a lot of money for so many individuals. So many, but now few people have the money.
Yeah, just to pick on what you said, I mean, you've been on the field, so you know better than I do. But I know that Ero is classified as a forestry product.
Yeah.
So for you to export Ero, you need the same license that someone needs to do timber. So yeah, you need what they give now, they call it l'agrément d'exploitation, blah, 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 forestier. So it's something that you need that same paper to export Ero. So I don't know how many people know how easy it is to get that paper, but you need it. So people might sit there and they're using someone who is more or less extorting them to take their Ero without knowing that if they went to Yaoundé, to the Ministry of Forestry, they could get that same paper. It's no longer as complicated as it used to be. It's a paper that's very easy to have these days. You spend you spend some money, which is an average Cameroonian might not afford, but it's not as difficult as it used to be. So we are coming back to the lack of information. There is stuff going out there in the ministries. If you apply to the right places, you will get something. Even if you don't get the full entitlement, as we know Cameroon is, you will get something. That I know from experience.
Yeah, actually, the government is trying, is putting its own effort. One, like you said, there are some fundings, even in the Ministry of Youth, there are some fundings in the Ministry of Agriculture. But my worry is when people write these projects, the same people maybe in those same ministries, they write those projects, they create CIGs, and write and apply, and the money goes to them without implementing what is in the proposal. That is the problem. The money is there. People write projects in the youths, in the Ministry of Agriculture, in other small places. There are. But when these very people, officials in those very ministries, they write a project and the money comes and they don't even implement it. Because if they implement, at least it will even be better. But they don't even implement. That's one of the problems. So it will be not fair to the government to say that the government does not try to give funding or help the youths. It does in that, because I have helped some group of youths to write a project on that. Then secondly, if we want to help, like to help the youths, apart of that funding, we could also be creating local centers for training. I don't know, agri-vocational centers or so, to train our youths on certain aspects. I have been I still work with Kabab, Central African Research to Banana and Plantain. And there is a technique, macro propagation of plantains. That technique, if you open a center in which such multiplication techniques can be learned, I tell you, if you go to Njombe and some other areas, and even myself, we have been making money by selling seedlings to farmers. You know, the traditional suckers now is getting more bulky, is getting scarce, and those type of thing. So we use this rapid multiplication technique to provide seedlings that to put in polythene bags and sell to farmers, which are smaller, easier, and relatively cheaper, and to carry from one place to another. So if we make centers to train students or those who are interested to do that and to make a living, and even to train them on production techniques, it will help, it will motivate them. Secondly, if you put centers where you train this and then you choose maybe 5 best projects from these youths, you say, okay, we're going to give you 1 million. Put this farm, I will be checking you maybe after 3 months. You know, they put some officials to be going there to be checking what exactly are you doing. That's what we are doing in University of Buea. In University of Buea, they have what we call farm practice in agriculture. So farm practice, the students, they give you a piece of land. You grow tomatoes, and every day or every week, teachers come there, they supervise you, how you are growing it, which techniques you are using, how you are managing the insect pest, and those type of things, until what quantity you produced at the end. And then you even sell and see how much you get. So they put things like that to follow up. It will motivate, it will help. And then we need to sensitize. We need to sensitize, we need to talk more and more. I personally have tried several times to train some of my cousins, relatives, and other friends on this rapid multiplication technique for plantains. They're not interested. They're not still seeing. You know, they want me to tell them that this thing, like that, they will give you money. You know, sometimes you don't need to tell somebody that doing this thing will give you money. We don't want the person to come there just because they want money. You want you to, yes. So I think with that, we can really encourage you to motivate them.
I think there's something very important he mentioned about the training, because I'm not a big fan of university in this stage in Cameroon providing agricultural courses, because there's a lot of hurdles for young people to get to university. So before you get to university, you've eliminated so many other people before you get to university. That's why when we came to Cameroon, the first thing we did is we set up a training center, an agribusiness training center. So we're targeting everybody. You know, as long as you can read and write, we've designed the course in a level where anyone can take the course. So you don't need to pass A levels, O levels to get to the university level. But with the progression, you can progress to university at your pace. So you practice agriculture and progress to your pace. And when I was saying the government is providing funding, I wasn't saying there's no mafia in the ministries where people write CIGs and so. So there is, but we are out here to change opinion. So when you tell people that while there's all sorts of things going on in the ministry, they will be discouraged to apply, which is not, it's not good. Because if 1 million Cameroonians were to apply for funding that is there and they don't get it, you know, there will be that critical mass saying, the papers, the newspapers, the TV stations are saying there's money in the ministry, and 1 million of us have applied for 100,000 and nobody's got nothing. You know, we can now say that, look, this is 1 million people who have applied for this money, but it's not there. So we can now hold somebody responsible. So we should continue to repeat and say that there is funding there, go and apply. Whatever comes out of it, then you can use that to say, okay, you say there's money, but there's no money.
Okay, Benjamin from Kida says a lot of research has been done in the agricultural sector, but very little or nothing is done to put these findings into practice. Big heads, please do not call. We expecting your messages. Thanks for your kind understanding. Big heads us talk in the anthems. It's time to act. How do we get them to act? Maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the ways we have to act is going back to basics. Going back to basics means going back to the villages. Going back to where we came from. Now, when I was in the University of Copenhagen, I wrote a small project on the fertility, organic farming. I used FACO as an example. Now, then when I discovered something, throughout the research project, I discovered that everything that I read in school, everything that I was applying to write the project, I knew it while I was small going to my farm. But it is organic farming that we're actually doing by default. Default in the sense that we don't know. So the thing is, some of those now, if you look at crop rotation, we talk big book when we are reading, we say crop rotation. How do we do? Now, if you go and meet our parents knew that if you plant beans, it will soften the soil. After which you plant corn. You understand? Now, that is a technique and it replenishes the soil. So you can use crops. Now, we are going to fertilizers because we don't want to go back to the old traditional method of farming. Fertilizer is very expensive. So people will tell that they will not go, I don't have money for fertilizer.
As important, they also know the impact of fertilizer on the crop.
On the crop. So because so many things are changing. But you can go back to the old system of mulching, where you have you have a lot of things. You have feces from cow dungs and things like that. You go back to the farm, you have mulching, you dig a hole, you put leaves, after put soil on top of it. After about 1 week, 2 weeks, it decomposes, you put back to the farm, you have everything. So we should go back to the basics. And how do we do that? We'll do that by sensitization. We'll still go back there.
If you're just joining us, you're watching the live cast of VOV 51 and we're talking on youth and agricultural development. How do we get the natural resource to understand its role in agricultural participation for development in order to consistently fight against poverty, misery, and of course the growing rate of unemployment? We have a lot of your messages coming and we'll take them before the end of the show. So the panelists will actually give answers to all your questions and those burning issues actually choking you up back at home. You won't leave this show today without having answers to all of your questions. I cut you so abruptly because I thought there was an emergency. So we continue with you. How do we get this sensitization to the brains of many people when we understand that, as Mr. Okole, Dr. Okole Justin said a short while ago, there's practice at the University of Boya. We have such practices in some primary schools in some other regions apart from the metropolis, the economic and political towns like Yaoundé and Douala. How do we get them to understand when at the primary level, some of them do not even have gardens where they can actually practice to get closer to it and understand the importance of delving in the agricultural setup of your country?
What we have to do is first, when I look at when I was in primary school, everybody usually go to a farm. You have a garden, you have to make ridges, you have to do this. They show you how to plant flowers, plant crop, corn, and so many other things. Even when I was in Sase, we had farms. Every day you have to go to the farm. They show you how to do these things. Now, when we look at it, I'll go back to one thing. There's one thing we said, apart from rural sciences, there's one course which was cookery. If you take, for instance, cookery. Now, cookery was something that everybody loved. Why? Because you go there and you cook. It was something practical. Now, it made us to everybody that did that thing, even men, some of the men that do it, you discover that you could be able to cook for yourself. Now, agriculture is something that we should institute it in our schools. It should become like a subject. I want us to know that to come out with something, to grow, no matter what, primary school level, people should know that they can plant. People should know the importance of planting. People should know the importance of flowers, the importance of every single thing. Termites, there are social insects that we say. We try to learn those things. I think Dr. Okole might throw some light in that because he just organized a program to make youth understand the importance of agriculture in Iraq. I think the program just rounded up a few days ago.
I think it was a very unique program, one of its kind in Cameroon, because after sitting with the chief of center at Irade Kona, we came out with a program, holiday workshop for primary school kids and junior secondary school, which was out of the traditional, classical, conventional style of doing holiday classes, where students go back and still learn the same mathematics, arithmetic, history that they learn in classes. This time we took them to the research station for 1 month, every week, 3 times a day. Very little children. And we were teaching them, showing them how a nursery is, how to fill a polythene bag, how to put it. I'm telling you, if you ask those children anything concerning research, agriculture, you will be very shocked with what you will hear. So doing it hands-on. We took them to all the laboratories. They went inside, saw microscope, put fungi under, they saw it, went to the soil lab, what is being done, went to the entomology laboratory, how to catch insects using sweep net, how to plant, how to shell maize, and how to ground them, how they preserve them from insect pests and all those type of things. I'm telling you, we ended yesterday, but those children are getting home sad. They don't want us to end it. So from those type of things, we begin to expose them. And I'm very sure that I'll be tracking them. 50% of those children will end up in agriculture.
Beautiful. This one is for you, Dr. Mofo Pride, from the PAP parliamentary candidate Raymond Akoston, watching from Yaoundé. Great topic. If you were the president of Cameroon, what would you do to employ 70% of unemployed youths in the agriculture sector? Amelia.
Yeah, I think agriculture is a culture and inheritance. I think the best we can do, if you look critically, you see back in the 60s, agriculture was really doing well in the country. With foundations like Medino, the Santati, Exted, Marketing Board, all those organizations, we need to bring them back, restructure them. Because since those organizations left this economy, we have been, and probably up to now, we need to revisit those organizations and bring them back. I quite remember back in those days when I was still young, I used to see during holidays, people will come with agricultural tools and they are moving from headquarters. We need those, we need those adventures to come back. In order, if we get into that, then the whole thing will practicalize. Because agriculture, we don't need a lot of research. It's our culture, it's our future, it's our inheritance. We were born with it. We just need to add value in it by bringing those associations and then sensitizing the public.
So if you were the president of Cameroon, how would you employ 70% of unemployed youth into the agriculture milieu?
I think I'll differ with him again. It's not about marketing boards and all those things. It's about the market itself. As we've been all saying, if we can encourage people to get involved and make them understand that this is a business. If I grow my pepper, I'll sell it and make a profit. So it's simple. So as a practical thing, if I was a president, tomorrow I'll announce a project where I will fund 100 agricultural projects, however they may cost. As long as they've done their research, they've got the proper planning and everything is set, everything they're saying is true, they've not faked any figures, I'll fund 100 at any cost. So if the project is 100 billion, I will give them 100 million. For the 10 different regions, I will give them 10 projects at any cost. And that will stimulate the sector.
Mr. Jude kebuma Emmanuel, should you be the president of the Republic today, how would you get 70% of the unemployed youth to get interest or develop interest in the agricultural milieu?
I'll start by telling Mr. Likunze that he said we should forget about marketing board. But I want to go a little bit of history about marketing board. And you see the importance of marketing board, that marketing board played in our country. And when marketing board was not there, what happened? Now, marketing board acted like a price stabilization. Most farmers, we are talking about prices are falling for cocoa and coffee. They knew that their crops, if it is 500 francs, even if it's 10 years, they have their 500 francs. Because marketing board incur the losses and the profits that they make. It doesn't matter what. Their price is stable. They knew they could do their things. Now, with the dissolution of marketing board, I'm sorry to say that it came because our government accepted the plan from the World Bank. People don't know how it worked.
Because they could no longer afford it.
No. Let me tell you what I know. What I know is that when structural adjustment program came, for the UN instituted a structural adjustment program, now to apply and to qualify for HIPIC loan, you have to, it was one of the conditions, you have to abolish marketing board. It was not for the government. The government needed that. So that is why the government abolished the marketing board. I want to go to the record to that. We can search everywhere, but that's it, and that's the fact. Nigeria, for instance, they refused that program. because they knew of the detriment it will have on them. Immediately the structural measure of basketball came, what happened? Prices of cocoa and coffee dropped. So that is the problem I have till tomorrow, because prices now goes with the market. And who controls the market? The West controls the market. So we don't have anything there. So that is the first problem. And that is why we are suffering till tomorrow. So that's why I went back. Then coming to your program, what the government can do, what the president can. He said, Mr. Lekunze said he can give about 100 programs. Projects.
What will you do should you be the president?
With me, it's still about giving projects. But then I will keep the progress to the local level. I'll go down to the local level and go down to the chiefs. Let the chiefs call the community. In every community, everybody knows every individual. We know the family. We know the family issue. We know the children. Let them go back to the basis. Let them go back to the community. The community will institute projects. And the government will sponsor the projects. I am the president. I'll go to the community. Let them institute projects. Let the various chiefs institute projects. Then we will sponsor the projects. The project will be based on the agricultural potentials of the particular village, because it's unique.
Dr. Okole Justin, should you be the #1 personality of the Republic of Cameroon, how will you actually occupy 70% of the employed youth into the agricultural milieu?
Yes, first of all, I will thank the people for having the trust in me, making me the president. I will still fall in line a bit with
Jude Emmanuel.
the project issue. But once we fund, or I fund these projects, I must put in place personalities or people that are going to follow up. If we say, okay, in Fako area, we want people who want about 5 hectares, or 10 hectares of tomatoes to be grown, we need to appoint people or extension workers in the delegation of agriculture to be following up, monitoring, and giving them advice on how to do that. Next issue is that I will try to put in place very large plantations. I can come out with large agro-industrial plantations, like what the Heracle Farms was trying to be doing, even though there are a lot of controversies with the operations of Heracle Farms. Environmentalists are saying that, they have taken a lot of land, they are going to destroy all the land, this and that. But if you really look at it, the number of hectares that Heracle Farms have taken, I don't think it's really, I don't want to delve into that. I'm not working in Heracle Farms. But if you open such a plantation, such an agro-industry, that is going to do what? Once we get the products, we're going to transform the products here in Cameroon, which means we are producing and doing transformation here. It's going to employ a lot of people. You're going to meet those targets. But at the same time that we'll be employing them, at the same time, other subsectors like research, I will fund. By funding research, we will need a lot of people also youths to be going for research. That will also bring in youths to improve on production system, to improve on transformation processes. And at other level, we'll also have to bring in more people who we are going to train as extension workers. Extension workers are gradually disappearing in Cameroon. At first when I was small, we used to have extension workers in all the villages, telling you the new technique. So the extension workers, they work between the farmers and the researchers. So researchers carry out the research, come out with some new technologies or techniques. They train extensionists. This is what to do, this is what to do, this is what to do. The extensionists now take it to the farmers and tell them how to do it, how to implement it. Even though that one was just a one-way, now we are making a 3-way system where you do research in a participatory approach involving farmers, the extensionists, and the researchers. We draw protocols and then implement the protocols together, follow up the experiment together, so that by the end, when you see the results, a farmer who started from the beginning of the experiment right up to the end will easily adopt the technology or the technique. So that's what I would do.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the live cast of VOV 51 in Youth and Agricultural Development. Ngwa Charles, loving the program from Limbe and appreciating what you are saying on the panel. Mr. Khaled Dante from Boya says, it's easy to say these things, but you all have to put education into the context of agriculture, especially when youths have to get involved. Education is the gateway for development that enhances the productive capabilities of individuals and by extension, the society. So education is the key from primary right up to tertiary education. It's only then that can we begin to see everyone involved, including the youths. You take note so you can react from time to time. Please, we're expecting your messages, not your calls. And this one is coming from Alobwede. I am a farmer and I am in need of funding. So you're going to tell him exactly how he should get the funding. Alobwede, and he is writing all the way from Fundong. And this other one, oh, please, no calls, but messages, please. Messages. Mr. Awasum Franceline AM. Oh, I'm a fan of agriculture. Please, I will be very grateful if I have the contacts of these personalities on the program to guide me. Sure, you will have their contact. Just be glued to your screen, rather to 4:30. I'm happy to still hear. Let's go back to our traditional agricultural practices. Intellectuals sincerely tell us the detrimental effects synthetic fertilizers has on our health. I think you're going to talk about that before we get to the end of the program. Please advise me when one is more profitable, or which one is more profitable, cocoa or palm oil production. I want to invest in one of them. Andrew from Boya. Salut Amy, Dideron Gwe Makong. And he's watching us live. Well done. And mais je suis toujours en chômage ici à Douala. Raison de plus de suivre ce que les panélistes disent sur VOV 51. And you know exactly how to delve in the agricultural domain. Please, no calls, your messages. We're begging of you for your kind understanding. Rural electrification can also keep youths in rural areas to carry out agriculture, but since government had failed to do things, please be kind enough to understand. We're expecting your messages and not the calls. Rural electrification can also keep youths in rural areas to carry out agriculture, but since government had failed to do, oh my God, it's difficult, you know, failed to do things that encourage youths to remain in village. Sensitization is the best way for both. By Acha in Dom, a village. Agriculture will be lucrative only when we improve on food processing. Alo Bwede, I'm happy to see two of my seniors in that program. Thanks for watching the VOV. Oh my God. How am I going to say? Do I speak in my dialect? Greetings to you all in the studio. For me, I think the problem of farmers is based on the lack of farm-to-market roads. At the end, the price in the market is high, but the farmer owns nothing. Tata Joseph from Puma. Thanks for trusting. Mr. Jude has said it all. Monopoly that also corrupts practices. That is Ngwa. And please, no course. You've heard some of the messages and probably react to them while giving them actually advice. The person who wants to invest in the cocoa sector, how they advise that person. And the person who also is trying to fight unemployment, how does he get into the... You've said that before, but you may just have to repeat, because that's how education involves repeating time without number. And we may want to start with you, Mr. Okole, Dr. Okole, for the person who wants to invest in the cocoa industry. How do you advise him? What must he or she do?
I think that cocoa has been an important cash crop. And this goes particularly to the Indian people and Meme divisions of Cameroon. Indian, from where I come from. You know, they have been planting a lot of cocoa, and the cocoa in the past, because of the organized sector, was lucrative. Even to an extent, it's still lucrative, but because we don't determine the prices fluctuate, and fluctuate to a certain point that the farmers hardly benefit. Next is that we have a lot of what we call now, I don't know how to put them, these middlemen. The middlemen who go to these village or rural areas, and it boils back to the issue of farm-to-market road that somebody said. It's a big problem. Sometimes when I look at road in Cameroon, I lament, I cry, you know, because for how many years? Just take Kumba Mondemba. That should be a trunk A route, but it's sick. Now, if you take that situation, because of this lack of transportation means, the bad roads, these farmers don't have the vehicles, four-wheel drives, to remove their products out and go to the market. So these middlemen take advantage of that. They have the four wheels, they have these good vehicles, they go inside there, then buy the things at very, you know, at prices that you can't really make what you put, you know. So we've been advising even this, my people in Tian and Meme, please don't rely only on cocoa.
Yeah.
The problem is that most of them have just taken cocoa as all and all. They don't want to diversify. And cocoa has seasonal money, which means there is a season. And after that season, they remain, most of them still remain wretched. Because they don't want to do any other thing. Just cocoa, no pepper, no tomato, no cabbage, nothing. So they need to diversify. Even if you are going for cocoa, try to look for a way, because a lot of factors limiting profitability in the cocoa sector. You know, even the storage, if you don't store it well, even the drying is a problem. Even the use of pesticides.
That's the quality.
Because of the misuse, injudicious use of pesticides in cocoa, there are a lot of pesticide residues in this cocoa. And therefore, sometimes in the world market, they are rejected. And there's a lot of loss. So if you are going for cocoa production, you should be ready. And it entails a lot of work. Pruning this, that, and that. So if somebody is still going, somebody does not have enough money and this and that, I will not really advise the person to really go for cocoa. I will advise the person to go for other food crops or to diversify.
Okay. Dr. Morpher Pride, as a researcher on medicinal plants and animals, what kinds of farming initiatives would you advise citizens willing to